Well, good morning, everyone. This is my little reply to who let Gen X off the hook. So I'm right in the middle. And if you watch some of the videos about various Gen Xers like me, kind of give their reply. A lot of them are funny, but the kind of the thematic significance is okay. So we did drink out of the water hose. We did ride our bikes without shoes. We had bumps and bruises, and you just sucked it up. And I guess depending on what part of the country you're from. So I was I was born and raised in northeastern Louisiana. And so, the deep South was like 10, 12, 15 years behind the West Coast. So we were still interacting with, like, my parents were Depression era parents. They were silent generation. And Dad was a combat Korean War veteran. And I was the last of 5 kids. And he would do the whole trash can, waking everybody up in formation thing. So that was one. And then everybody else, all their parents were, silenced. My best friend, his dad was actually greatest. His dad was a World War II veteran, and he had him very late in life, and was a physician and really one of my mentors and role models. That you picked yourself up and you created a solution to whatever problem it was. It really engendered a very, very high degree of self-reliance. And as the years passed, especially if you went into the military, and all of my friends, everybody did, because it was your way out. The little area I was born and raised in northeastern Louisiana just didn't have a whole lot of economic opportunities, and so you had to create them on your own. And in order to do so, the recruiter was one portal, and that was mine. And I took kind of the life lessons of being a young Gen Xer and moved it forward, because all of my cadre were Gen Xers too. And our stories were usually very close, and I joined the Navy, which was economics. You were from an economically depressed area, and you needed some sort of a way out, and hopefully a pathway to greater opportunities. And it was definitely for me, because I scored very well in the ASVAB. And I was, because YouTube, I think, won't allow you to say this word, but I was very rotund, and I decided I didn't want to be that way anymore for health reasons, but it was also locking me out of many opportunities. Plus, it was locking me out of relationships. I mean, you just finally get to a point to where you're either comfortable with it, which I don't think is particularly healthy, or you can do something about it. And that was one of the key features of Gen Xers. We created solutions, and it went all the way back to childhood, when you were running with your gang, your posse in the neighborhood kids, and you would have mishaps, or you'd be out in the woods, because the D'Arbonne National Wildlife Refuge was not too far away from my house. And you go out into there, and it's thousands of acres of just, marsh and swampland, and you're riding your bicycle out there, and then later you maybe even your dirt bike. And if it breaks down, well, guess what? You're 8-10 miles, you're humping it, pushing whatever got you there initially back. Or if you're really, really brave, you took your because we all had three-wheelers. Three-wheelers in northeastern Louisiana, that was like the epicenter. And I had I still have it, a Honda 200 Big Red, 1982 model. And the 90s and 125s and 110s could float. The Big Red couldn't, it couldn't float. But that's what you did, because you wanted to see if it could. YouTube, for us, was our imagination, and then connecting that, physically with creating adventures. And the adventure continued when, it's a scary thing to go to the recruiter and then find your way into boot camp, because it's all unknown, but at least you have in your toolbox that you are self-reliant enough and resourceful enough and willing to give up your individuality for a specific amount of time in order for the sailor, in my case, to be forged. And as I carry that forward into life, it's still with me. I mean, I've been a professional auto mechanic and heavy equipment mechanic now for 32 years. And I got my start, as a lot of your dedicated types that are also enthusiasts, when I was 5, 6 years old, and there's another story. I turned a lawnmower. My dad, so my dad had this, like a riding lawnmower, right? And it was 5 horsepower. It was super small. It was a freaking, I think a Husky, but it was super small. And, he took the mower deck off. It was just almost impractical in Louisiana because the grass grew every other day. It was just, and it was very thick because it rained so much. And so he took the mower deck off of it and turned it into a go-kart for me. And that was like my first ever automotive or motorized conveyance project. And it just kept going from there and there. When I had no money, just very little money, you would pick up, like a lot of you all know I'm into Cub Cadets. Well, that all started when I found one left at a dumpster location in the parish, and this is kind of neat. Let's see if we can get this thing going. And it mushroomed out from there. And it's like my production toolbox here. I know is precisely the story behind every tool in here, when I bought it and what the circumstances were. So fast forward, into my naval career, I took the ASVAB, I scored really well, and I had done nothing because I was a portly child, and so I had never gotten into trouble. Plus my dad was just like, I'll definitely do some corrective actions, to any of you kids, if you drink, smoke, be stupid, the law, get in trouble with the law, that kind of thing. So I had never done anything. And so I pre-qualified for the clearance. I got the clearance. That was easy. I remember my final investigator, the final interview, the day before graduation from Corey Station. He said, you're one of the easiest backgrounds we've ever had to do, because he's like, you freely admitted, and we actually believe you, that you don't even know what marijuana smells like. I did. Well, I mean, now I know, because, somebody, pointed it out to me. All those years, I thought it was like burning rope or burning hair. It was terrible. But it led to an amazing career. It carried me straight to Washington, D.C. And that was a moment where of deep reflection. But I always, was an auto mechanic. And so when I went back to work for the national government, that's what I wanted to do, and I was fortunate enough to be a pro-tech for our republic. And I just find that as being the high point of my professional life. But cumulatively, it was kind of the earmark of being Gen X, and this is just a gross generalization, but it's my opinion, is that we had to be self-reliant during a time of chaos. We were forced to watch movies like The Day After. And, we had Cablevision, which was, I believe, 12 channels, 4 of which were local, including public TV. You had WGN, you had WTVS, and you would get HBO as a bolt-on. And, of course, we were watching, bad movies, and one of them was Threads, which is a British post-nuclear Holocaust. Terrible. I mean, it's a beautifully done movie, and it's brilliant. It's horrific, and I don't recommend it unless you are willing to deal with some nightmares after. But that was all of our opinion. We kids used to get together after seeing The Day After and go, well, we're 90 miles away from Barksdale Air Force Base, which was a SAC installation. They had B-52s there. I think they still do. But we probably won't die from the blast. We'll die from fallout. And we'd have discussions like that at 11, 12 years old. And usually it was, by the time you're going into the change of life and your interest is in other things. But universally, we didn't want to have children because we didn't want to subject them to what the children that were born after the missiles hit. And that was one of the themes. And it was, and of course, on the news, we're hearing, not quite understanding, but hearing that Social Security will be long gone by the time we're eligible. And so, it was also another feature of who we were. Carpe diem, seize the day, and live for today. Well, it was 40 years ago. And still here, I believe too that we're probably the most deployed generation, and probably have seen more conflicts globally than any other generation. So that would have started with, I can't remember the operation name, but it was to remove Manuel Noriega from Panama. It was in '90. And then Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and everything subsequent to present day in Eastern Europe and still going on in the Middle East. I believe I counted, is it 11 or 12? 11 or 12 separate sanctioned operations where military personnel and critical civilians of the national government were deployed. And so, that only reinforced our Carpe diem attitude, And now we're beginning to retire and looking toward, we're not on final approach, toward end of life, but, we're in that, okay, in about 10 minutes it's going to start. It'll be, hopefully a nice gentle glide into the airport. And your perspective continues to go back on being a strong, self-motivated individual and doing your best to leave more than you've taken. At least I can speak for myself and every one of my friends. Very much the credo is about the same. So, we're mechanics, we're plumbers, we're metal workers, HVAC techs, you name it. And we were the generation that bridged the analog era into the digital era. And some would say that, okay, well, that makes you, incredibly resilient and strong. Well, there is a cost to be meted out there, and that is a high degree of suspicion, being a little too jaded, sometimes cynical, not particularly approachable. It's up for debate. I've really worked hard in my post-military years to leverage being, an approachable person by doing my best to be, a productive citizen, even though I'm retired now. So I felt that was worthwhile. But anyway, we're gonna try to get some riding in, and the Scat Pack is just it's been awesome. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It basically rarely gets driven, and as I've mentioned before, it's something I want to I want each trip to be meaningful. So, all right, what do we have? We do have the PMI on the blue Harley there, but there's so many I'll do it anyway. There's so many videos on 3-hole changes and adjusting your clutch and lubricating the cables. It's not. This stuff hasn't changed in so long with Harley Davidson. So we have that and other odds and ends to do. And hope you all have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you again soon.